I have but come from the last wine shop open. Ishtar's curse on these white-livered reformers who close the grog houses. Let men sleep rather than guzzle, they say. Aye, so they can work and fight better for their masters. Soft-gutted eunuchs, I call them. When I served with the mercenaries of Corinthia, we swilled and wenched all night and fought all day. Aye, blood ran down the channels of our swords.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Grog House podcast. This is your host Dan, and I have with me today my gracious co-host Josh. How you doing today, Josh?
Doing very well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. So what are we here for?
Today we're watching the first Conan the Barbarian movie, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and directed by John Milius.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
And we also have with us as a special guest today, Austin, also known as the Day Ghost.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Thanks for joining us, man. It's good to have you here. And as you were
It's good to
saying
be here.
to us the other day, you're like the internet Arnold expert now, huh?
Yeah, apparently. I just go around to different channels and talk about Arnold movies, so apparently I'm an Arnold expert.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And it's especially funny here because I've never seen Conan before, so this will be one of the few Arnold films that I haven't seen.
I think you're going to like this one. This is one of my favorite Arnold movies for sure. And it's weird because Arnold's like not a very good actor, but he's in so many classic movies that it's, it's hard to choose sometimes, which one's your favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's got a few films that are in my top 50 and some in the top 20 films for me.
Yeah. Just that charisma,
Exactly.
a giant Austrian man that only knows how to speak about childlike things. People like him.
Yeah, no, he's definitely very charming,
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, absolutely.
So the way that we're going to do this, I think, is we're all queued up at timestamp 0 right now. So you, the viewers at home, will press play. We'll do the countdown so you guys can follow along with us if you'd like to watch the movie. But we're gonna try to talk about the scenes as coherently as possible, so you can listen to it as a podcast too if you're not looking to just sit down and watch it with us. So you guys all ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Let's press play in 3, 2, 1, now. So
FBI warning.
Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts going in?
Did you guys get an FBI warning before the
Yeah, I
movie?
did.
Okay, so
Yep.
you're also getting the restricted R. I'm just making
Yep.
sure that everything's good.
No, yeah. I got all that. I really like this movie. Going into it. I've watched it before, and it's a really good time. The score is amazing. We'll definitely talk about the score as we walk through the film. But yeah, no, I really like. I prefer Conan the Destroyer though, personally, which is kind of a hot take, but like that movie is just so much fun. But this movie's awesome, so I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah, that is definitely a take you don't hear very often.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were gonna open on a Kelly Clarkson lyric.
Kelly Clarkson is a Nietzsche scholar, if you didn't know.
That's awesome.
No, yeah, that is an interesting take, Josh. I definitely like this movie more than Destroyer, but I'm not one of the people that hates Destroyer either. I have a ton of fun with that movie too.
Well, and interestingly, as Doolittle was telling me the other day, Quentin Tarantino prefers Destroyer.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the Marvel comic series, so that one like tries to go a little bit more in the not as like R-rated direction as this one does, because when they did the initial series, they couldn't do like the, you know, against the comics code stuff until they started doing Savage Sword later, when it was like the black and white magazine with Buscema and Roy Thomas. So that's like what his point of references for this stuff is.
Yeah, he like read the pulps like much later. I think he read them like a lot later. But he grew up with the comics like in the 70s.
Yeah, and those comics are the reason why this movie got made in the first place, because this and the those and the you know, book series that they reprinted in the 60s and the 70s. Yeah.
No, definitely without those two things you would not get this movie. The Frank Frazetta like covers for the books and the Marvel comics are definitely like, you know, caught the kind of eye of people, and I think kind of captured the imaginations of people, you know, for sure. And I think, you know,
and it's cool.
Well,
when I think of this era for fantasy, you know, the 80s, you get a lot of just kind of like crappy B-movie stuff where like, oh, you know, we have a camera, we're not far away from a desert, we can go out and shoot, have guys with swords and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like it's cool to have a more bigger budget thing at this point in a genre that Hollywood has never really cared for.
Yeah. They kind of like begrudgingly you know, do fantasy movies, and when they're successful they're like, look at this. But
because fantasy, when fantasy does well, it really does well. But it's just a genre that they don't seem to have a lot of care for.
Yeah.
Strangely. Because I feel like fantasy is a very popular subgenre, like outside of film. But you're totally right. I mean, when Oliver Stone wrote this movie, the original first draft he did, which was very different. Like it's his draft, the first one that John Milius like rewrote with Oliver Stone, you know, afterwards when he signed on to be the director. Like Stone's first one, like it was a post-apocalyptic futuristic movie, and like Conan fought zombies, like, and he gets transported to the future. But he initially envisioned this series as like fantasy. He envisioned this series as like the James Bond of fantasy. Like he was like, oh, this is going to be like the first of 12 movies, and Arnold should come back every couple of years and do one like Sean Connery, you know?
Well, and that's a brilliant way to play Conan as just like a film series, is to have it as like a James Bondian kind of like narrative where each film can kind of stand on its own as its own fun adventure, escapist kind of like fun in the theater, you know? Which makes sense too, because I think Bond kind of comes from, like, obviously Bond didn't come from like a pulp magazine, but like he has those kinds of like that vibe, you know? So I think that makes total sense to do that with Conan.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense for this kind of material. That taking the fantasy character and bringing them into the present or future, whatever, is very much a go-to for this era of fantasy
Yeah.
as well.